What is going on, Ravens Flock, and welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me today, someone a little different, is Ravens tight end Charlie Kolar. Charlie, how are we doing today? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Yuri. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you, taking your time out there. I know you guys get in the season, you guys get going, and it's certainly hard to get some free time. So appreciate you joining, and we'll catch up with the Chiefs game here in a little bit, but let's go all. I honestly want to go all the way back to the beginning, high school football. Give me a favorite moment. Like, what was like throughout all of high school football? You're like, this is like the moment you're like, I think I can make this to another level and do it exceptionally well or above average.
Oh man, that's a good question. Um, I'd probably say like when I got my first Power Five offer from Iowa State, which was my first real offer. So that was some validation. Like someone else believed in me. I thought I was a good player, but I was going to my senior year, and there was like a lot of guys who already had tons of offers and tons of commits, and I was like, am I just like not very good? Like, why am I? Why do I? These people that think I'm probably better than have way more offers and stuff, and so not that I'm a super externally motivated person, but it was nice to get that now validation of just you know someone else believes in me, and that was pretty cool. And then, in addition, in general, throughout the year, I'd say when I got me even more confidence in myself and my team, we beat Tulsa Union, which at the time was one of the schools on the east side of the state, and they were historically way better and way bigger schools. We beat them at home in a great game, and that was a pretty great confidence booster for myself and my team.
Definitely. Speaking of those offers, so you had an offer from Air Force and, to my knowledge, Army,
Mm-hmm.
according to the web. Um, did you ever, obviously as myself, did you ever consider those as an option? What made you pick? Well, I know that Iowa State made a late push, but what made you decide between those three, and like what were some key factors in like that picking process? Because I've always seen people, the all I see is the hats, all the athletes, they have the
Yeah.
hats in front of them, and they pick a hat. I want to know what goes into that decision.
Well, I knew that I I didn't ever think I wouldn't say I knew not know. I didn't want to play football. All this NFL would be super cool if I could have made it. And I did know that if there's all commonly an issue with Army and Air Force about serving afterwards, and like you can like not have a career and stuff in the NFL. Um, I also I really want to run the triple option. Like just being brutally honest, like I could be more grateful, uh, like to you and our servicemen and women who serve us because they do things that some of us don't have the courage to do, and it's just I'm truly incredibly grateful. But for me, I for my football at least, I didn't want to do it. But I always feel bad when like when I go to Army. I'm like, I just feel like kind of like a little scumbag. I'm like, why? But I was really grateful. I didn't have a ton of offers, but I was grateful for all of them. Obviously, I thought that ended up being the right choice, and I think so far it's been a good choice.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm with you. If I had to choose between the triple option and running the ball 55
Yeah,
times a game, or like going to somewhere like, you know what, I could probably gonna catch the ball just a little bit.
I mean, if you're a
Yeah,
quarterback who can't really throw, but you're fast, like, geez, triple option's perfect. But for a lot of players, they're like, I don't know if I want to play triple option.
yeah. I mean, if you're a lineman, if
Oh,
you were like
great.
if you like added on like 80 pounds, I think one of those schools would have been great. I mean,
Oh,
obviously without the serving, but
fly off the ball, be fun.
absolutely. So obviously, you go to the Cyclones. Great years there. And I want to ask you. So you throughout high school you played basketball, and then you played tight end as well. I want to know, how much did basketball help you in developing some of those body control skills that tight ends need? Like what were some of like the things, like, hey, like boxing people out for rebounds. What do you think transferred over?
I mean, for most of my life, I was kind of focused on how football is going to help basketball, so like basketball better. But obviously, the like just like basic pad level stuff and the boxing out stuff helps. Low man wins. Very cliche but true stuff. And then also like basketball helps you get like helps you stay in shape in the off season. It's fun. It helps your eye hand coordination. I think
Right.
also it helps a lot in like the. I think I'm a pretty good blocker, especially in stuff that a lot of times typical bigger tight ends aren't as good at. Like I think I'm a pretty good blocker in space, and I think that basketball helps a lot with that. Like it's just basically playing defense and defense. Open space blocking and open space tackling are some of the hardest things in football. I think basketball helps with that a lot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And mirroring to your point, mirroring on defense helps you also stay in front of somebody when you're blocking them. And then as well is another thing is something you showed a lot over your time in college was zone awareness. I think that helps a lot when you're playing defensive basketball, when you're playing, three
Oh, for
two
sure.
zone,
Yeah.
knowing to when it's time to, hey, they're getting a little too far here on the wing. I got to push out, or coming up, meeting them at the top of the key. I think that's really important. That was something that I was very impressed watching throughout your time at college was your zone awareness. Being able to sit down in zone, read leverage in zone, find soft spots. So um, yeah, I'm those stuff like I mentioned before we talked. I love the cross sport athletes. Like sometimes you hear the lacrosse and
Yeah.
football and the
Yep.
hand-eye coordination too. That's a big one. Did you play any other sports throughout, like seriously throughout your career at all?
I stopped playing. I mean, I played like everything growing up. Soccer, baseball, track. I stopped playing baseball like in middle school because there was an issue trying to play three sports in high school. My brother tried to do it, and there was some issue with the coaches not wanting him to. They'd like sit him for games and stuff, and it was. I love baseball and like soccer and stuff, but it always was just like slowly peter off. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish because like I see guys now who play 3 or 4 sports in high school. Sometimes I feel like it's like how it could be. I think most sports at a young age are way too serious anyway. So it's like it's not
Yeah,
that serious. Like,
yeah,
just let the kids play. But yeah, I played baseball probably up until 7th or 8th grade. Was probably my last sport, and then track and soccer when I was much younger, probably elementary school. But for most of my high school, for all my high school, it was just baseball and football. Sorry, excuse me, basketball and football.
gotcha. Yeah, I think baseball's an interesting one just because thinking of like trying to think of the crossover. You obviously you have hand-eye coordination, but then you think about swinging the bat and creating torque, and like pitchers creating torque with their hips. I think like the only transferability that I can think off the top of my head is like a quarterback torquing their hips to throw the ball.
It helps a lot for golf. I'll tell you that.
So that's true.
I've not met many good baseball good. I've not met many baseball players who are bad golfers who golf. Like any rotational sports player is like my tight end coach in college was a hockey player and he's great at golf just because like they're just naturally like all rotational. It's kind of a side note, but
Yeah. Are you a big golfer?
not a
Big
big golfer.
golf?
But I'll golf some in the off season if I have some free time. I'm super whatever, but it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Me personally, I haven't really gotten into it yet. There's been like a couple of times I went out with friends, and I'm like, this is fun, and the baseball background definitely helps.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. For sure.
but it's I had the same problem where in baseball, at the end of like high school, I was like I don't think this is for me, and I just kind of like let it go.
Yeah.
But getting back into your career at college, so you had uh, I'm 90% sure you got all Big 12 like 3 or 4 years in a row. But I want to ask more about the academics, the academic accolades that you got there. So you had the Campbell Trophy, which essentially is like the Heisman for academics. Um, how important was it to you to be a good student off the field as much as a good player on the field?
It's very important. Both my parents are professors. My dad is chair of civil engineering at OU. My mom teaches in law school at OCU, and both very smart and very hardworking. And they demanded a lot of us as kids, and I not even demanded it, but just that they like, had high expectations for us. And I think it's hard to. I don't know. Like I just think that stuff's important. Like it's really hard to make the NFL, and it's even harder to stay in the NFL. And so just from like a pure utilitarian standpoint, like the odds are very much against you. And so I like always knew that. Um, yeah, athletic academics would be a great thing to have. And then also, I just like I try to take pride in everything I do. Whether it's sometimes why it's hard to golf because I'll go play terrible and I'm, I'm like, why am I so bad at this? But like seriously, like football, um, academics, relationships, friends. I try to like take pride in like what I do and like what like, you only like eventually all we're gonna be is just like dust and memories. We're getting real theological and hypothetical. And so like what you do and like how like you remember is really like based on like how you make people feel, like how you do things. And so like that kind of long winded answer to just I tried to take pride and work hard at what I did and I thought I did a pretty good job on and off the field. So
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point about at the end we'll all be dust, and it's really the things you do here is what you're remembered by, and how you treat people, and that's um, great
one of our
points. Like,
coaches one of our coaches has a quote about that. He's like, I forget if it's college or even NFL, but he's always like, even more so, it's like less of when you're gone, it'll be so much less of what you do that's remembered, but like how you make people feel. And like for me, like part of that is just like work hard, be a good person. Like most things are will get worked out if it's that if you do those things. So
absolutely. In college, would you say like, so using what you said, would you want like when you went through your experience in college? I'm asked little outside of the realm of academics and sports. What was that like for you? The getting into like a new area like that, was that your well first off, was that your first time like being away from home is going to college?
yeah, I lived in the same house my whole life growing. I was very we weren't like we weren't rolling in Range Rovers, but both my parents had jobs. I had four siblings that I'm all close with all of them. I have two great parents. I'm very blessed, and so my hair's coming out, but not that facetious usually. But I lived in the same house my whole till college. I went to college, but I was lucky that I met some of my best. I know I'll have lifelong friends in college. I lived with them for 3 or 4 years, and they made it a lot easier. I just having like you have your new family, and then our coaching staff at Iowa State was also full of good people. They assembled a good roster of good people, and they are. I have a lot of good memories from college.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of going through the same thing right now, which is why, because I'm first time away from home.
Yep.
That all uh, kind of feeling of like, all right, now it's like you got to start putting the feet down, and you don't have the safety net of being at home.
It's never
Uh,
easy. It's never easy.
yeah, for sure. But you would say that was a beneficial experience being in college, being at Iowa State, and the way that it like made you grow as a person.
Yeah, it forces you to grow. You get away from your family, your people, your comfort zone, and you have to grow. I think it's an awesome thing for people to do.
Definitely. So then 2022,
Yep.
uh, you get drafted by the Ravens. I have to ask, always wonder, were there other teams calling? Were other teams like trying to make a push? Were other teams like sweet talk, pillow talking you on the phone? Like, yeah, you're here. We're gonna get you. Was anything like that?
So it's really, at least from my perspective, not how it worked. I got one call, and it was from them. So the first call I got was the Ravens. So you basically just sit by your phone and stare at the TV. It's just, I mean, it's a very like small like problem and price to pay in the grand scheme of things. But draft day sucks for the whole day until you get drafted because you just sit there and like just watch the TV, check your phone, watch the TV, check your phone. Like you're nervous. I was incredibly grateful because I didn't know, but I was pretty confident I was going to be drafted. Like, and so it's really like, mostly just waiting. But still, it's like waiting for anything. You just feel like every minute is like an hour, and then also my parents and my family will just because it was just my family, my grandma and my girlfriend Maddie, and like it was just that's I don't know 9. It's very small, and but then start spending too much time together. My siblings start bickering. Someone starts getting mad at my mom, and then all of a sudden I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I just do not want to be here. Can I just leave? But you can't leave because you got to stay by your phone. So,
Right.
but it goes from like a very kind of long, stressful day to just one of the most euphoric experiences. You get to spend it with people that are most special to me, and It was great. Very blessed.
For sure. How did you feel? So you went up to the combine, tested out at like 9.67 relative athletic score. I don't know if that's a thing. The NFL players, like, are they aware of that relative athletic score? Is that a
I
thing
don't.
that, like,
Not really. Like, not really.
not really?
No.
Darn. But so you go to the combine, put up great testing numbers. Did you feel like? So I'm always curious with the combine. Do you ever feel like um, that those help? The combine helps. Does the combine help improve draft stock? Do players feel that way? Did you feel that way after the combine? Like, man, like I probably go like like a decent amount ahead now that I tested well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, I don't think I actually did anything at the combine besides some indie drills. I think I had like a hip flexor or something. I can't really remember. But my they didn't want to, like, I wasn't 100%. They didn't want to test. I did most of that pro day. It's all the same thing anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it helped for me a lot. I think I was mostly receiving tight end, but like I wasn't a 4.4 guy, and so people wanted to know if I could run, and then I ran a good 40. I think I ran like mid 4.6. And I think that helped me a lot because it's like everyone has like their question, like what is the question about the guy? I think people were questioning what my top end speed would be because I just didn't open up a lot in college. I was mostly like a mid tier route, crosser, sales, under stuff like that, and so people want to see the more. So yeah, I thought it helped me a lot. I think definitely helped my draft stuff.
Right. What does the preparation process look like for the combine or the your pro day? What was did you have coaches working on particular things and
I empathize with rookies. I never want to go through that again. It's just like it's just a long year, because if you're training, so like it's 21, play the whole 21 season in college with the bowl game, and then I was training like 3 days after the bowl game. I already had my agent and my training site picked out. I got done during the bowl process, so I knew as soon as the bowl game was over, I'd be out. So I went out to California. I trained. And it's like a lot of it is like off season training in the weight room and stuff. It's lifting. Like, obviously there's more stuff focused for the combine, maybe like bench press, almost like conditioning, because like the
mm,
225 is more of an endurance test than a max strength. But the biggest difference is like the field. Everyone is trying to do the same things no matter how good they do it in their training. You're trying to work on your 40 start. You're trying to work on the steps in the pro agility shuttle and the steps in the L drill, and how do you get a little better at the broad? Just like how much you're trying to get a little bit better at everything in approximately 2 months. So it's like a very much, you're not going to make a 4.8 guy a 4.4 guy, but you could maybe create a start that is really efficient and turn a 4.5 guy into a 4.45 guy. Like those are the differences. Like, if someone like Xavier Worthy who ran a 4.2, like I could train the combine the rest of my life, I'll never run a 4.2, and no one ever could except for like a few handful of people. So it's really just trying to improve your little things. So because those things are those things are very analyzed, almost like overanalyzed. So every second, tenth, 100th of a second inch on a broad jump, all that stuff matters.
yeah, arm length and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like some of the stuff's like, come on, man. Like, let's watch the tape and let's play.
Yeah, for sure. And you made a good point there about the like some people it's just like for example for myself, I'll never be able to like squat more than let's say like 300 pounds because like my body just can't handle that. It just can't. Like it. I've tried it. It
Still
won't
good
ever happen.
squat. So
It won't ever happen for me. But like sometimes like certain players, and this isn't a knock, but like certain players will have limitations based on their size and all that, and that's how that's what makes players unique.
so the,
Um,
the bigger thing about the combine is the combine was originally set up as a medical event, so
mhm.
everyone in the team could get together to check every player's medical history. So that's the actual like meat and potatoes of the combine is the medical and the interview portion. The testing is only the very end of it, and so like everyone talks about, oh, you don't want to like have a bad combine, you ran a bad 40. An actual bad combine is like something popping up that you didn't know about, like the crazy illnesses or the injuries. Like that's as long as you get out of there with nothing on the medical chart, you're blessed. So
Man, it sounds a lot like MEPS. For anyone in the military, MEPS. That's exactly what it sounds like.
it probably is. Like it's basically like a big, like, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's like a big meat market. You want to make sure all the I don't know, like make sure everyone's healthy. Like it's like what it is. Like make sure everyone like they're basically we are the the assets they're going to invest in, and they want to make sure that their money is well spent. And we are going to be players that play well for their team and are decent humans, stuff like that. Like that's the meat and potatoes of the combine. You can look at a film and see how fast someone's going to run. Like, yeah, it helps that they run it and they see it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
That's, that's my
that's
two
for sure.
cents. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that that makes sense. I mean, you know, like Xavier Worthy, you knew he was going to run at least like a 4.2. Just
The
watching
guy's
him.
fast. Like I've
Yeah,
watched him on TV when we used to play him. I can't remember if I overlapped with him or not, but he was fast in college. Like I knew he was fast. Like he's fast.
right. Speaking of the interview process, what was that like? Having teams ask? Did anyone ask like a really obviously this is like a layup kind of dumb question, but did anyone ask like a
Weird
dumb
question.
question?
Yeah, I didn't get any. I didn't get anything like the crazy ones. Hear about like ask about like a random stuff trying to make you uncomfortable. Like, sure, some people will try to like big dog you a little bit and like try to like see how you react to it, but most people were professional and good people. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, what? So how many teams did you do interview with every team, right?
yes,
Or
you
just
do
about?
interviews with every team at some point. I did a lot of mine at the Senior Bowl.
Mhm.
But yeah, you do every team, every at least somebody from every team.
Um, that's actually another big thing is the Senior Bowl. A lot of the times, the Ravens seems like in the past have picked a lot of players from the Senior Bowl. Um, how much do you think that the Senior Bowl helped you also to kind of like showcase? Do you think that's a good event for exposure? The Senior Bowl. Did you think that was really beneficial towards your like process or
Yeah, it's an all-star game. It's a chance
right?
for the NFL scouts to see you play against other would-be NFL players, and it shows like how do these guys stack up against the other people that we think are top in their class. I think it's a good evaluation, and I think they got a pretty good week there, and I think that it's an important event.
For sure. Um, so going back to the Ravens, so you get placed on IR the first year here.
Yep.
Um, then later in the season, come in, start working your way in. Last week of the season, that was really like the featuring. Like I think you had 7 targets. You had 49 yards. I remember that. You had multiple catches. You had to catch in traffic. Um, how did you feel after? Because they always talk about the rookie wall,
Yeah.
and how did you feel going into that off season? Finally like being healthy and to be able to get like a full off season under you. Like did you think that was very beneficial to like your development as a player?
Yeah.
Obviously being healthy helps, but
Yeah. Being healthy is everything in this league. Yeah, it did. 100%. Like this simple answer, it helped a lot. It really did.
gotcha. And then jumping, present day, uh another healthy off season. Did you think what are your personal goals for this year? And then what do you think are some like overall like team goals that you also want to like help push towards?
Yeah, I mean, team wise, I think our ultimate goal is to win it all. We were on the doorstep last year. And how do we do that? We got to win next week. Got to beat the Raiders. And then who do we play next? The Cowboys. Got to beat the
Yeah,
Cowboys. Like, you know, if our ultimate goal is to be the best in the end, we just got to be the best every week. And I think that we were like, we were literally this close last week. So I think just got to keep getting better a little bit. Go back to the film room. The one, like, as much as it hurts to lose, and there's an old saying, like, you learn a page from a win and a book from a loss. Like, losing makes you look at everything that you did wrong and exposes it and forces you to become better. And so, if we have to, do that, it's better to happen in week 1 than week 14 of the playoffs. So let's learn and get better. And then personal goal wise, I've never been a huge like goal setter, not just like BSing. Like, I just think it's like I've always been of the mind, like, I just try to have, like, a overarching, like, what the path I'm on, like, what I wanna get better at, and then kinda work towards it. Because I seriously, I've never really been a huge, like, goal setter in that way. Like, I keep a journal every night and stuff, and I write things down, like, my focuses, like, my grateful, but I've never been, like, a long-term goal person, so that's the honest answer.
gotcha. Um, so last things here. I know obviously I don't want to take too much of your time, but um, kind of more of a philosophical question. But like,
I love
what is
philosophical questions, this is great.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a cheesy one. I do have a crazy one though. What drives you? What is like strip all like the um like everything else out. Like if you were just to, like to isolate like one thing, that like if you're having a terrible day, you think of this thing. Like you know what? Like this is like your centering point. You know, like what is your centering point? What drives you?
Existential why question. Yeah, I think it's hard for like me to say I have one singular why. I mean, one of the biggest ones is like my family. Like my both my immediate family growing up, and then like Maddie and I aren't engaged or married. We've been together a long time, and my friends like I think of her as my family, and like my friends like those like everyone always wants to prove people wrong, but I think there's like a lot of people that I want to like prove right. Like a lot of people believe in me. A lot of people spend a lot of time and hours and confidence. That's one big thing. Another thing is I love to compete. Whether it's like dumb things, almost like I used to throw board game dice and stupid stuff when I was younger. I love that. And then I'd say the one, especially one bigger thing with football is kind of a why is I like I love the team aspect of football. Like it's such a game where you rely and trust on the people around you, unlike any other sport. In terms of, I don't most sports don't have 11 players. And then also like there's just so much, especially in the offensive line and tight end world. There's so much reliance on like your brother next to you to do your job, and like that like sense of like fostering a community and stuff. Like that's like it's easy to play hard for guys like that when they're next to you. When it's Ronnie and last year is Morgan, this year it's Pat and Roger and Lindy, and like it's really easy. And that's just O line. Not even counting my closest friends in the room. Mark, Zay, Pat, like those guys. And so it's kind of a lot of things. The why is, but like I
Hmm.
think that really there's a lot more than just one thing for myself. Good
Yeah,
question.
for sure. I mean,
And
um,
I mean, and it's like the classic athlete thing. Like I hate losing. Like that's like the most common. Everyone says they hate losing, and acts like it's like the most unique thing ever. I hate losing more than I like winning. That's like one of the most. That's like one of the first things they taught in my psych class in college. Is like it's natural human nature to hate losing more than you like winning. But like everyone says that like they're like the most unique LeBron James in the world or Michael Jordan, and I'm like that's just like basic human psyche. No one likes to lose. Everyone hates it.
yeah. I mean, no, I don't like losing. I
No
hate
one
losing.
likes losing. It sucks. Losing sucks.
Anyone who says like, it's fine, we lost, leave me
No,
alone. Get
losing's
away from me.
horrible, dude. Losing a stupid like argument is bad. Losing a game that you just spent weeks and months training for and you pour your life into, like that hurts. Like people think it hurts because they lost a $20 bet. Like it also hurts more for us too. Like I promise, like we have to get on a flight, we don't get back till like 5 a.m. Like we're tired and you just poured everything into it and then you lost. And I know like we are paid very well. I'm grateful for that. But like it's still like a child's we always say this a lot. It's a child's game for a king's ransom. It's a great I forgot one of our vets used to say that. Like we're still like the bottom of the day, most of the time just kids playing a game, like trying to win. It still hurts when you lose. So
For sure. And just a little bit. I know you said before you said you don't usually get on social media a bunch, but um, with that whole like how do you tune out that noise of like the social media is just most of it's negative. Very rarely is good news in the news. It's always bad news in the
yeah.
news. So how do you like tune that out?
I'm not perfect. I definitely get on it too much sometimes. I remember it was like a couple weeks ago we played the Packers last preseason game. And I got cooked in one of the pass rush reps. Like I just got beat. Like just no way around it. The guy gave me a good move. He got gave me a stutter into a bull, got under my pads, lifted me, and dropped me. And it was luckily it wasn't a sack. It wasn't even really a pressure because I died slowly enough. It wasn't like just an immediate loss.
Yeah,
Um, but I saw it on film. I was like, oh, dude, just a terrible rep. Like just embarrassing. And sure enough, I'm on Twitter the next day. I just like get on in the morning, and like one of the first tweets I see is someone just like roasting me about how bad I am at football in this rep. And I was like, I don't follow this person. I don't typically like. I don't feel like I like or repost things. How does this? Like, it must be I'm just looking at like I'm just on Raven stuff too much. Or like that's a lot of people I follow. He'll suggest things for me, and sometimes the suggestion is like someone just cooking me. I'm like, come on, like, can you suggest something else? But I mean, for the most part, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Like people have like free speech; they can say whatever they want. Like I'm confident in my ability. You know, I'm confident in my ability as a player, and like it's the NFL. Like there are NFL players over there, and sometimes they're gonna get beat, and so you just gotta move on. But like you said, there's just too much negativity, and like even if I am confident in myself, like reading about people saying how bad I am is not gonna help me with my confidence at all. So if like I'll take like breaks too. I'll like give social media up for Lent sometimes. I'll just like delete it for a week or a few weeks, just like kind of reset. If I find myself, reading too much, not even on myself, just like football in general, because it's not healthy. But yeah, it's just the problem is there's just so it's just so easy to access everyone's voice that when you're in a position where people, I'm so much less than like a quarterback or something like that. When you're in a position where you play and people can comment on it, it's not good to read about how bad you are sometimes. So you want to make sure you keep it at arm's length.
Yeah, it's especially like it's one of those things where a lot of the time in the film world, you'll get into people like they'll be posting like, "Oh, they ran the wrong route," or it's like, but like the players actually like know what's happening.
Yeah, like,
That's why,
it's always fascinating like how people know that stuff when they weren't in the room, but it's interesting.
yeah, that's why when I have the clips, I just post them, and if it's like I'll just say like a very small caption of like, "Oh, that was a great player." Like I'll
Well,
leave it
there's
at
some
that.
stuff that's obvious, but like a lot of stuff, like especially in the run world, like even just like a mic point being changed changes everything from a technique and like a who you're with standpoint, and like it's so hard to like it's so hard to like rate and judge players um in that world on in that. Like there's some stuff like if you're running a go ball, it's one on one versus a receiver and a DB. It's pretty easy to judge that play. Everyone knows their responsibility. But like
Right.
especially in the run game world, it's very tough to dissect when you don't know what the run of the scheme is. So
Yeah, absolutely, and the way it's taught. Sometimes different schemes are
yeah,
taught
exactly. So teach a
very
different.
different ways.
Yep. Great
Um,
point.
but yeah, I'm always curious about that when players see like someone saying they ran a wrong route when they know deep down inside that they were taught how to run the route a certain way, and like how they hold back from not like just quoting the tweet and being like, I was
I'm sure
taught.
some do. Some do. So some do.
Yeah, I've seen a couple players go back and forth. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, a lot of times,
I
like
think
those
it's great.
people, a lot of times, like people on who like comment on stuff, like they're football people too. They can rewatch the play and they're right a lot of times, but they're not right every time. And so, like, I feel like that's what people get frustrated about. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think the one beautiful thing about football is it's always growing. So I'm always learning. So that's why
It is.
I don't yeah I don't go crazy with the judgment
Yeah.
stamps.
I appreciate it. I do got to run here in a little bit, Rory. So one of my closest friends in college is Yuri. But thanks a bunch for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining. Appreciate you taking time out of your day. Good luck this season. And yeah, like I said, very very appreciative that you hopped on.
No problem, man. Have a great Sunday. Talk to you soon, Yuri.
You as well. See ya.